1. Flint Creek originated in the Adirondack Mountains and emptied into Lake Ontario 40 miles to the west, one of numerous small tributaries emptying into the great lava-colored lake, which in turn emptied into the turbulent Niagara River, and that river into the vast St. Lawrence to empty, finally, into the Atlantic Ocean, hundreds of miles to the east. And so her body was carried that distance, lost in the Atlantic Ocean. Inga, her name had been. He remembered now. 2. He knew little of creeks, rivers. He knew that there were freshwater streams and there were salt-saturated bodies of water, but he had no clear idea of their origins or why they differed. He did know that Flint Creek had been originally just Flint Kill, for kill was a Dutch term that meant creek. Dutch settlers had been the first Europeans to live and farm in this region of upstate New York in the early 1600s. He knew simple facts. Water runs inexorably downhill, land slopes downhill to water, a powerful gravity draws us down, downward like time, and it is not reversible. He knew that small tributaries yearned to be swallowed up in larger streams, borne away, and identities obliterated in very vastness. A wide, rushing river, a great wind-tortured lake. Flint Creek was relatively shallow for much of its 100-mile length, rock-strewn, spilling over its banks only during the spring thaw and after heavy rainfalls. When snow melted in the mountains and foothills in early April, the creek became a cascade of lush, clear water that seemed to render the very air above it scintillant, dazzling. Very different from the gushing, mud-colored water after a storm, a sickly hue smelling of rot, excrement. The creek ran along the eastern edge of the State University campus at Oriskany, New York, that sprawled over 5,000 acres. He discovered it a few weeks after he'd arrived from the small city of Sparta. He'd been just slightly older than other first-year students, 20. He'd lived off campus. He'd had few friends. He'd been fired with idealism. Here was the beginning of his life, his actual life, and not the accident of his birth. How long ago that seemed now. Another lifetime for which he felt contempt. As for a younger, naive, and ignorant self, outgrown.